Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! Playoffs edition.
Yeah, let's go. Playoff edition. The playoffs start tomorrow. We have the final play-in game tonight, and then the proper playoffs kick off tomorrow. Going to be a crazy weekend around the NBA. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith. Keith, we've got so much good basketball on the way. I can't wait. It is playoff eve, and I'm like a kid before Christmas, man. It's Christmas Eve for us right now.
Yeah, 100%. We love the trade deadline period and the draft and free agency and all that stuff, but this is the best time of year for the basketball itself. This is going to be great. You know, I'm not super duper excited for either of these games tonight. To be quite honest, the injuries have really put a damper on it on both the East and West final playing games. But it's just a nice little, I think you called it yesterday, a nice little appetizer before we get into the weekend. We've got roughly 20 hours of great basketball between Saturday and Sunday, each game in its own window, starting, right off at, I believe it's like 1:00. You plop down, get in the recliner on the couch, and the only time you should be moving is to make bathroom trips and get snacks, and that's it. Like, just settle in, watch the playoffs, and let's go. I cannot wait for tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be so awesome. These are two of my most favorite days on the sports calendar is this first weekend of the playoffs.
Agreed, 100%. The more I've talked about it over the last few days, the more excited I am for the playoffs. Keith, we're going to make our predictions on today's show, and this is a live show, so welcome in. Those of you who are coming in from YouTube, if you're coming in from X, formerly known as Twitter, welcome, everybody. We're going to certainly take your questions and comments along the way as well. If you're at work, you're doing the head in your hand thing, you're hiding your earbud, props to you, for finding a way to tune in and join us here for Front Office Friday to kick off this important weekend. Keith, before we get into our playoff predictions, let's quickly make our predictions for the play-in games tonight. Let's start with the East. We got news this morning. Alex Caruso will indeed play tonight against Miami. Does that push you towards the Chicago side in this matchup?
Yeah, it does. I think Caruso playing allows them to basically say, you've got Tyler Hero. The Heat are without Jimmy Butler. They are without Terry Rozier. So that puts a lot on Tyler Hero to have to create everything. And it's going to be Caruso, you got Hero, take him out of the game. We'll handle the rest of the guys. Let's go. I'm just not sure how Miami scores enough points to keep up with Chicago. Not that Chicago is like this overwhelmingly good offense, but DeMar DeRozan, Nick Vucevic, Kobe White, those guys are going to get them to 100+ points. I think it could be a struggle for Miami to get to that same level. Someone else is going to have to step up. I don't know who that's going to be. We'll see. Maybe Patty Mills, I'm going to guess, is going to see some run just as somebody else who maybe can get some points. But yeah, it should be a fun game. But yeah, give me the Bulls in that one. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. And, it's interesting that I've just checked in terms of the betting lines, and the Heat are actually the favorite. I think it's just kind of the home court bump. But I agree with you. I think the Bulls actually get it done with no Jimmy Butler. I think that's a big loss. I'll tell you what needs to happen is that Bam Adebayo would need to have a really big game, I believe, for the Miami Heat to get through. And you probably need, which tends to happen, you probably need one of the other Heat players to have a big outing, like a Jaime Jaquez, somebody like that would need to step up and have a really big night. I do think they're going to try to make life difficult on Tyler Hero. And it's not out of the question for one of those Heat guys to get going. Their guys tend to step up, but I would have definitely gone the other way if Jimmy Butler was healthy for sure. But I'm going Bulls in this one. Jumping over to the West, Kings, Pelicans. Once again, I am going against the betting line right now. You've got the Pelicans are a 1.5 favorite, and I think that's just the home court bump there. I'm going Kings in this one. No Zion Williamson, and I don't trust that Brandon Ingram is 100%. So even without Malik Monk, I think I trust De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis more than what's left of the Pelicans.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. So not a whole lot of fun to kick it off here, but with the two of us picking the same
I
things. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think we're in a spot where I think it's gonna be hard for New Orleans. Brandon Ingram didn't really look right in that game. Maybe he could come up with a huge game. He's gonna have to. You're gonna need CJ McCollum to score. I think the opposite way of Chicago Miami, where it may be a struggle to get points for both sides. I think these two teams are going to put points up. It's going to be can New Orleans keep pace with Sacramento to put up enough points. I feel a little bit better about the Kings with Fox, Sabonis, Keon Ellis has played well, and if they get anything like what Keegan Murray played like against the Warriors, they're going to win that game for sure.
Yes, yeah, I mean, I'll be in agreement there. It would take a big CJ McCollum performance, or you know what, Trey Murphy has the ability to occasionally go nuclear.
Sure.
Like you would need something like that to happen for the Pelicans, in my mind, for them to beat Sacramento in this. But also curious to see Jonas Valanciunas' impact and how he manages Sabonis if he can stay on the floor. That type of thing will be interesting. All right, let me take a quick peek at the chat here before we get into. BC said Kings win, but they've been bad against New Orleans, so could be close. That's true. They have been. I believe New Orleans is. I want to say they're 5-0 because I think they played in the in-season tournament against the Kings. So that's something right there. But I'm going to lean Sacramento right now. All right, let's get into the playoffs proper, and I'm going to go here, Keith. This will be, I believe, our shortest one. Celtics against the Heat Bulls. Whoever gets through. I would be shocked if this is not a sweep.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. There's a part of me that wants to respect everything Miami does and has done for years by saying, give them a game. But I don't think they're close to the same Heat team. And without Jimmy Butler, they're certainly not the same team. So I am going with Boston in 4 over whoever it is, whether it's Chicago or Miami. I know it's going to roll in with you're overconfident, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the Celtics team is going to mess around. If they're going to lose a game, it's going to be probably game 1, just because they've been sitting and for a week, but also their main guys haven't really been going hard for about a month solid here. So maybe they come in a little, rusty, not quite ready, but this is a group that is super ready to go from a terms of playoff experience and all that. So yeah, I'm going Boston in 4. That's your pick too.
That's mine as well. We're in lockstep so far through this. Yeah, I think that's what's ultimately going to happen. So I've got a chat coming in here, causing lyrics. And Trevor, what's your pregame speech for the Lakers? So honestly, I'm going, if you're old enough and you remember when the teacher used to wheel in the TV cart and they bring in the VHS player and all that, I'm doing that. And then I'm popping in the Kurt Russell miracle speech from before the Team USA took on the Russians and the Soviets in the Olympics, the Miracle on Ice. I'm just popping in that speech, and I'm going, just watch this. This is better than anything I could ever say. Anyway, you were born for this. We're gonna shut them down because you can, right? Like, let's go. That's what I'm doing. I'm trusting Kurt Russell and Miracle, and that's what I'm rolling with.
I think there is something that the coaches often go to, especially when they're a big underdog. This happens very much on the college level. We have to go play the game anyway. Might as well go win it, right? Yep. Like that's your thought is we're not, if we're going, we're going to win. And do you want to just do Lakers Nuggets now since we're kind of on the topic?
Sure. Yeah,
we can jump around. Why not? It's our show. We do whatever we want. I think there's a world where it plays out similarly to last year, where the Lakers are competitive in every game. I just don't think they have enough to beat the Nuggets. I'm going with Nuggets in 5. I'm going to give the Lakers a game just because they're gonna, if it does play out like last year, they're gonna win one of those. I
Yeah.
think this Denver team. I don't know that this Denver team is gonna feel super motivated either to roll right through the playoffs like they did a year ago. I think they may, if they're up like 3-0, take their foot off the gas a little bit in those kind of things. But yeah, I'm going with Nuggets in 5. I just can't get there. If it was Lakers Thunder, I might have had a completely different pick. No,
Yeah.
we've covered it already. They shouldn't have tanked for that. But I think I believe this is far less about the Lakers and way more about my belief in the Nuggets as
That's
a
that's
great team.
and that's fair. If I'm not picking with my heart, I don't know if there's a team that I would pick against the Nuggets. Like when I'm looking around the league, like is there any team, possibly Boston?
Yep.
Other than that, I think I would pick the Nuggets over anybody if I'm not picking with my heart. But I'm going to pick with my heart.
There you go.
Because I'm a fan, damn it. And so
go.
we're going to. So I'm going to say it's Lakers in 6. And here's how it's going to happen. D'Angelo Russell is going to have his revenge. He's going to have his Pau Gasol against Kevin Garnett in 2010, after getting destroyed last year. D'Angelo Russell got played off the floor. The Lakers were, when I look at that series, as well as the Nuggets played, the Lakers were an average D'Angelo Russell away from making that competitive. I'm not saying they won. I'm saying competitive, not a sweep, right? If they can get the D'Angelo Russell we've seen all season, and that's a big if, then this could very much switch this up. Now, again, the Nuggets are the heavy favorites, and they should be. They should be the heavy favorites. But there's a world where the Lakers get this done. Now, I'm saying Lakers in 6 because winning a game 7 on their opponent's floor is extremely difficult unless you're going up to Sacramento and it's 2002. It's not easy to win a game 7 on your opponent's home court. So I'm going to go Lakers in 6. I'm going to say they get a heater series out of D'Angelo Russell. LeBron and AD do their thing. And somehow, some way, Jamal Murray remembers how to miss a jump shot. Because he certainly did not last time around. So I'm gonna go Lakers. All right, let's jump over to.
Let me pull this up because I don't understand this question.
I saw that.
I don't.
Sekou Doumbouya.
He played in France this year. He missed a bunch of time, but got back on the floor late in the year. He actually played the other day and had he's had a couple pretty solid games in France. Sekou Doumbouya had 33 points the other night. I just looked it up. I knew he had a strong game. I didn't know it was quite that good, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Sekou Doumbouya, he's only 23. There's a world where he pops back up as an NBA guy. He's only 23, just turned. Well, not just, but he turned 23 near the end of December. That's how young he was coming into the NBA.
Damn, this is like when Andre Drummond was 29 for like 10 years.
Yeah,
that's great. It feels like he's been around for much. We've been saying that name for longer than that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there's going to be more and more guys like that. All these kids coming in at 18, 19. Like it's just, by the time they're signing that second contract, they're like 20, 21 years old. Like it's crazy. So yeah, I explain where this came from, but I don't fully, maybe it was just truly what's going on with Sekou Doumbouya, which, weird question while we're in the middle of a playoff preview, but shout out. I'm all for it.
Yeah. And then Ryan said, let's go.
Sorry.
Lakers, our bench needs to dominate. That's the thing, right? The Nuggets, they don't have a super deep team in the playoffs. Depth doesn't matter quite as much, but strange enough, I think, Keith, obviously we went way more in depth into this over on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel, but like, Gabe Vincent is weirdly important in this series for a guy who essentially has not been there all season. He's going to be very important and off the bench for the Lakers. If they can get him to do some things defensively, that could be a big difference maker.
I thought it was super interesting that in the must-win game against the Pelicans, and I get it, it's must-win, right? You had a second chance if you lost. But Darvin Ham cut the rotation very quickly. Spencer Dinwiddie made like a cameo appearance, and he said, nope, going with Gabe Vincent, gonna run with him. And Gabe Vincent had earned it. He had played very well. It was Taurean Prince, and I'm missing off the top of my head. Who was the third?
Jackson. It was Jackson Hayes, Torian Prince, and Gabe Vincent.
Yeah. And Jackson Hayes was more of a I just can't play AD, 48 minutes. So, I think more of the same is probably coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, I think Dinwiddie will get another chance out there to, maybe show, hey, I can give some minutes. But as we roll forward, that's your 8 guys, and that's where every coach gets to, whether it's 8, 9, maybe occasionally it's 10. But you get down to your guys, and that's it. These are my guys that I'm rolling with. Starters will all play a little bit more. I think that's the other challenge for the Lakers is it's not the same as last year where it had to be you're sprinting a marathon by the end, but they have had to push hard, down the stretch to make sure they put themselves in position standing wise. And that just gets them in a little bit of a tricky spot of, where they're at. So, I think it's just going to be hard to beat the Nuggets, and they didn't need to be even slightly tired rolling into that or anything. So that's just makes it that much more difficult. But I think it's going to be a fun series. I don't think it's going to be a bunch of blowouts or anything. So I'm very much looking forward to that part of
it. So this question said, I know you guys are tired of this, but still don't get why the Lakers should have lost to the Pelicans in that game. We got swept last year this season by them. We've shown we can beat OKC and Sac. Well, they haven't beaten Sacramento this season. They went 0-4 against them, but they've shown they can beat OKC for sure. You look, OKC would be the preferred matchup. There's no question. And I understand the concept of, well, if the goal is to advance, no matter what, the goal is to advance, then shouldn't you be doing everything you can to not take on the Denver Nuggets? I still give me the playoff berth, give me the chance, give me the opportunity in the postseason to see what you can do, because otherwise you're risking not even going there at all. And you can say, well, they'd probably beat Sacramento. Well, Sabonis has kind of kicked Anthony Davis's ass all season. So if that happens again, if AD no-shows again against Sabonis, then you're in big trouble, right? Yeah. You could put yourself into a really bad spot and not even be in the playoffs at all. And again, I know people will say, well, but the goal is to advance, period. And if you're probably not going to advance if you have to take on the Nuggets in the first round. I understand that, but from a competitive standpoint, from a team standpoint, I don't think you really want to tell the guys, hey, you can't beat this team, so let's make sure we lose this game to begin with. It's no guarantee, especially in the West, that you're going to get through that next play-in game to begin with. You also had the injury factor. This gave the guys an extra day to rest up and an extra game that they don't have to play, especially with AD already having an ailing back. I think it's all of those things combined, in addition to just that people will say there's no such thing as basketball gods or karma or whatever. There just tends to be a thing that what goes around comes around in sports. Whatever phrase you want to use, you don't want to tempt fate like that. Go out there, do your best, play the game to win, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. We've said our whole.
Yeah, I mean,
I have nothing really to add. I want to go to just something because it caught my eye here. It just made me laugh. An Adam Hanga update. Adam Hanga he was drafted years ago. He's Hungarian.
I don't even know who that is.
The Spurs still hold his draft rights. The only reason this made me laugh was he popped off the screen to me. I was like, hey, that's Adam Hanga, because I was watching some Nikola Topic EuroLeague, and they had played on the same team. Adam Hanga had played in Spain for the vast majority of his career, and he left. He played for the better teams in Spain, both Madrid and Barcelona. But he had left them to go play in Serbia this year. But he's not a draft prospect he's already been drafted years ago, but he's not even a guy who's ever coming to the NBA. But it just made me laugh because I was like, hey, I actually know what's going on with him, because I had seen him play when I was watching some Nikola Topic EuroLeague film when he was teammates with him before Topic switched this year.
I think most guys, like it could be the 11th man on the bench of a high school team, and I would expect you to know who that player is.
Yeah, that's going a little too far.
I'm exaggerating, of course, but guys, I'm going to drop the link in the comments here to the basketball bulletin, which you guys can check out. which is our Substack. Great way to support Keith and I directly. Some great scouting stuff. Devin Carter scouting report is out there. Bryce Simon's been doing that stuff. I wrote a little bit about Jonte Porter, that situation, the play-in tournament, all of that. That went out yesterday. So, guys, make sure you do check out the Basketball Bulletin Substack. All right, let's jump over to the Thunder against the Kings or Pelicans. Now, this I don't see as a typical 1-8 like Celtics against Heat Bulls type of situation. I see this as probably, I think the Thunder still win it, but I could see this going 5 or 6. I don't know that it necessarily like. I think the Kings, because the Pelicans are so banged up, I think the Kings could actually give the Thunder a bit more of a run. I actually think it'd be a pretty fun series. I still have the Thunder getting through, but I think it's going to go at least 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna, if it's the Pelicans, I'm gonna pick the Thunder in 5. If it's the Kings, I'm gonna actually pick the Thunder in 6. I think the Kings can push them, and the Thunder are going to have to be forced to figure some stuff out a little bit on the fly. I'm closer to Thunder in 5 than I am, way closer to Thunder in 5 on either one than it would be like Thunder in 7 on anything. But
yes.
I don't. They're going to get a little challenge. I think why I'm giving the Kings a little bit of a boost. One, that's one of the best home court advantages in the entire NBA. And the Thunder are going to walk into, whoa, wait a minute. Like, this is an environment now. And for most of those Thunder players, it's the first time they're going to play a road game like that in the league. And I think that's where you could see the Kings get a little bump, and maybe they get something else. Thunder have also been in a spot where by the time they play, they won't have played for a week. They'll have been kind of sitting around for a whole week. And I get it. They're practicing and doing all this stuff. And they had a lot of the same things as came out of Boston, where it was like, we went harder this week in practice than we did in training camp, just because they're trying to make sure we're ready to go. But you're still playing yourselves. So I think it's going to be a fun series, but ultimately the Thunder. So I'll go, since I picked the Kings as the matchup, I'm going to go Thunder in 6, but Thunder in 5 wouldn't really surprise me. Boy, you picked the Kings to win tonight too. So what's your official pick?
So if it's Kings, I'm right with you. If it's Kings, I would go Thunder in 6. I trust that De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis will get them a couple wins. I think the Thunder get it done. I'm curious to see how they adapt to playoff basketball. What happens in SGA isn't getting some of the calls that he gets, but I still think they're gonna win that series. So I'm gonna go the Thunder. They get through, and I'll tell you what, Keith. We talk a lot about okay, like obviously you would like to see the Celtics win the championship. I would like to see the Lakers win the championship. But when I look at if not the Lakers, who would I be excited to see win it? I wouldn't mind seeing this young Thunder team finding a way to get it done. I think they're an exciting young group. I think they're a lot of fun to watch. I think Mark Dagnall is fantastic, a very deserving coach of the year. I would not. They're one of those teams where I'm like, that would be a really fun playoff stretch with the way they play basketball and the way they play together, to see the Thunder make a run all the way to the end. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think it's getting a little overstated, which is funny because they're totally using it as like their rallying cry. But
nobody believes in us,
right? Like, they are all over that, because they mentioned that repeatedly now. Is, well, we're young, so who knows? But it's not mentioned in like we agree. It's mentioned in can't wait to come back and tell you this, which that's awesome. Every team needs something like that. So I'm with you on them making a run. I want to go to this because we're not going to go back to the Celtics because we kind of already breezed right by that because neither one has that much to say. 100%. If Celtics don't make it to the finals, this is from Bagski. He asked, do you believe the Celtics season would be a big failure if they don't win it all this season? If they don't make it to the finals, once you get to the finals, you're playing another really good team. So that part I'm not gonna fault them for. If they lose in the finals too much, if they blew like a 3-0 lead or something, I would absolutely be all over them. But if they don't make it to the finals, it's beyond a failure. It's a complete disaster. This is as wide open a path for them that they're gonna probably ever have. They're due to injuries and matchups and everything else in the Eastern Conference. There's no excuse for not making it to the finals at a bare minimum. I say that with all the regular caveats. If somebody gets seriously injured in game 1 of the first round or something, that can change.
Absolutely.
as it stands right now, today, going in, because not only is the path clear, they're healthy. Like they've got everybody's got some bumps and bruises, but they're coming in, everybody's full go. And they should be absolutely ready to roll through to the finals. That's not me being overconfident either. That's just my belief of where they should be at. So yeah, I'll own that. If they don't make it to the finals, complete failure. If they don't win it all, yeah, that sometimes that'll happen. But I just wanted to touch on that one because that's the last probably time we're going to talk about them today on the show.
That's fair. And you know what? Like, that's the reason why we're not trying to just breeze past the Celtics or whatever. Just that they should win, right? There's not a lot to break down other than that. All right. Speaking of which, so I just started a poll over on the YouTube side because I'm really curious to see where people actually vote here. I started a poll about this series. I said, who's going to win, the Knicks or the 76ers? I think this is one of the most interesting series of the first round. I think you can make an argument for either side. Now, Joel Embiid did not look great in the play-in, but they did survive it. They got, who knew, unsung hero Nick Batum. Welcome back. I guess he had his moment of clarity there. Keith, you know what I'm talking about. You're old like me. You have days where sometimes like the legs just feel good, and you have other days where you think, oh my God, this is what death feels like, you know. And I'm thinking Batum had one of those days where he woke up and the knees felt good, the legs felt good, and he went and dropped 20 plus and got them through the play-in, which credit to him. Now it's going to be on Embiid to kind of turn back into himself for this series against the Knicks.
Yeah, big for the Sixers to have won that game for a couple reasons. One, they're not playing Boston and they're already through. Two, Embiid gets to rest up for a few extra days here before they go in to play the Knicks. The Knicks are going to throw everything they can at him. If he plays like he did in the play-in game, where it's all pick and pop and he doesn't really look like he can move, the Knicks are going to win that series. If Embiid can be a little bit more of himself, it becomes a real coin toss of a series for me. I'm going to go with Knicks in 7, only because I just don't know that Embiid can be himself enough to lift Philly. If Embiid was Embiid, I'd be picking Sixers in 6. Just like you said with the Lakers, you just kind of, general theories, if you're picking an upset, you pick it in 6 because they'll get it done at home. But that's kind of where I would be at. But I just don't know that he's going to be himself enough. So I'm going to go with Knicks in 7. But this is another, I'm going to be a broken record because I'm looking forward to all these series, but I really can't wait for this one. Like, this is just going to be just all the different ways this can be played. And the fact that it's Nick Nurse and not Doc Rivers excites me because he'll go to all these different things. He'll go to a bunch of different stuff offensively. He'll try a bunch of different things. Where I worry is with Embiid on the floor, I don't know how creative he can get defensively. There's just not a lot you can go to when he kind of has to play in drop coverage, because asking him to do just about anything else is probably too much at this point. But should be a fun series of back and forth. You know, Tibbs is going to have his guys ready to go. I think they're going to aggressively push to get the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands and force other guys to beat them. And if it's just Joel Embiid shooting a bunch of jumpers, if he hits 10 jump shots and you lose because of that, you tip your cap, you move to the next game. But it's more about Batum, is he going to come through like he did again? Buddy Hield, get locked up on him. This should be a really, really fun playoff series.
So I'm looking at the poll right now. They have the Knicks are winning with 66% of the vote currently. And I'm actually going to go Knicks in 6 in this one.
Okay.
It's tough because I've said it a bunch of times. Tyrese Maxey is one of my favorite players in the NBA. Big believer of his. I think that the Sixers they've got some weapons. Tobias Harris is another guy that I've been a fan of for a long time. I think he's a guy that can make an impact. But as a team, there's not many teams that I like watching more than the Knicks. And it's just that they are such a pain on the glass. They are so physical. They hustle after everything. Josh Hart's ability to rebound from the guard or wing position, I think, is important to them. Mitchell Robinson is a monster on the offensive glass. I think they've got that playoff style basketball is already ingrained in them. And I don't trust that Embiid's going to get back to being what he needs to be. So I'm going to go Knicks in this. And I also think the Knicks have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. There's a little bit of kind of like a why not us mentality from New York. So if the 76ers were totally healthy, I would probably lean them. And I know the Knicks are not totally healthy either. They're missing Julius Randle, but I think I got to go with the Knicks in this one. I think ultimately their just physical brand of basketball carries the day. The question is, do the benches even matter in this series? Or with Nick Nurse versus Tom Thibodeau, are we just going to see 5-on-5 for the full 48 minutes?
It might be. Yeah. I mean, there's, yeah, it could be. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We want to go back and make sure we're collecting these. You're checking in, but you're now Scottie Pippen, which is interesting. Just wanted to shout out AD for playing 76 games. It's almost inconceivable to me. Me too. And Braun with 71. That's outstanding. Yeah, it's the Lakers had pretty good health from their top guys this year. I'd say their top six, because Taurean Prince has been basically the sixth guy all year. We're remarkably healthy. They played most of the games this year. It's that's a big part of why they had a much better season than a year ago, even if the playoff positioning is somewhat similar. In a better, deeper Western Conference, they were a far better team because their guys are on the floor more. So now look at what it paid off with. Here, play the Nuggets. Good. Thanks for all your hard work this year. But yeah, it's the AD part is that really is surprising to me. I'm going to guess it's probably the high watermark for him for the rest of his career. But he did it and he got out there and really went through it. And it's not like he didn't go through some stuff this year. He had moments where he was definitely banged up at various times. But yeah, outstanding season for him. And I'm glad to see he is popping up on a couple of the awards things that people are putting out there now. And sometimes he's popping up over LeBron. And I think for this year, I think he had a better season than LeBron did. And that's very hard to do. But I think if you're going to draw the line and say, hey, I can only reward one of the two of them, I think AD probably deserves it a little bit more than LeBron this year.
Yeah, AD's had a fantastic season. It's funny is that Keith, you probably get these emails too from different places that want to give you the odds on things happening and stuff like that. And so then you want to because they want you to link back to them and their company and everything. But I got one the other day that tracked the number of games missed by players due to injury. And the Lakers were second in the NBA in games missed due to injury, but those injuries largely weren't towards LeBron and Anthony Davis. So it's this give and take. They were incredibly injured this season as a team, and a lot of those fell on Jared Vanderbilt and, of course, Gabe Vincent. But in terms of their big two guys, those guys were remarkably healthy. So it was this kind of weird thing where the lineup around LeBron and AD was just this kind of revolving door for much of the season. But those two guys were healthy. And that was incredibly impressive that they were able to maintain. I mean, this is the most games Anthony Davis has ever played in his career in a season. So career high in games played for AD. So knock on wood. Hopefully those guys can stay healthy because they certainly need them out there. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and Russell went 76 games. Austin Reeves went all 82. Taurean Prince played 78. Hachimura played 68. So yeah, that's where when I went to the top six kind of were there. I mean, even Jackson Hayes, if you want to throw him in. Yeah, it was Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt who missed the chunk of time there. And not that those weren't important guys to be out. It's just a little different with them missing your top guys. And I get it because our friends in Memphis are going to be like, oh, cry me a river, right? Because it's
and Memphis was like historically injured. Yeah, I mean, they had Keith. We couldn't believe it when I went to Grizzlies Lakers a week ago, and Taylor Jenkins comes into the press room, and the injury report comes out, and there's 13 names on it.
Yeah,
13 guys. I mean, it was. Good Lord. That was unreal.
Yep. All right. Before we get to the next series, thanks, Ricardo. Says, I loved listening to y'all's show. My daily treadmill routine. Nothing else to add except go Spurs go. Well, go Spurs go is you got the guy to make that happen.
Yeah, right.
You know,
And glad that you're still locked in, even though it's the playoffs starting up here and the Spurs season is over. You're still here checking out some NBA basketball content. So appreciate you being here, Ricardo.
well, he gets this is I'm gonna guess for Ricardo, if not his next to last stress-free playoff watching as a Spurs fan. It might be next year that might be over with. And then it'll be what do we say? Decade and a half, 2 decades.
Yeah.
Before we get there again with the Spurs. But yeah, thanks, man. We appreciate the support.
All right, let's jump over to another really interesting series, and that is Bucks Pacers. Obviously, we've been going east-west here, but because we went out of order for the Lakers, we're doing 2 East series in a row here. So Bucks Pacers, Kid, you've got the Bucks in the 3 seed. If we were talking about this series before the season, I would have said the Bucks easily in a landslide. But this is a Bucks team, probably without Giannis for the entirety of the series.
I only saw it this morning. Did you see Sham's report?
No, I did not.
I guess he said yesterday on one of the places he works. I apologize. I don't know which one it was, but in a playoff preview show, it said 2 to 4 weeks for Giannis that he's probably.
So that's the first round, at least.
Yeah, that's the first round, maybe the second round. Yeah, we'll see. But I am guessing we don't see him in the first round unless it's where we're into a game 6-7 scenario.
So the Bucks have home court. They're the 3 seed. Without Giannis, I said this the other day on the show, I actually think the Pacers get it done. I think now I don't think it's going to be easy. I'm going to say Pacers in 7. No, they're the underdog. They make a Pacers in 6. We'll go back to that whole you're going to win it on your home floor thing. So I'm going to go Pacers in 6. I think they get the job done right now. The poll over on the YouTube side agrees with me. They've got the Pacers winning the series. Keith, my sense is you were a little more pro Bucks than I was in this. Do you have the Bucks taking this or just winning more games than I'm projecting? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go Bucks in 7. I'm with you on Pacers in 6. And a lot of me says that may be the most likely outcome here. I have to believe that Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, and those veterans on that Bucks team, that they've all been there, done that with the playoffs, either with Milwaukee or with other teams. They're gonna get this done. I think they will get it done. I think game 1 is going to be huge in this series. It maybe as far as whoever wins game 1 wins the series. Because if I'm the Pacers, I want to come in fired up and ready to go, pushing no pun intended, but push the pace, make this team run, make this team try to defend you, 94 feet all game long, fly up and down, turn it into a shootout type of series, and that's their best chance of winning. If Milwaukee can get it slowed down a little bit more, where it gets a little bit more grimy, a little bit more defensive focused, a little more physical, I think Milwaukee has a real shot here. So I'm going to go with Bucks in 7, but it's probably the one I feel least good about picking out of all the picks I'm going to make.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating series to watch how it plays out. How does Brook Lopez manage the Pacers' speed? Is that a factor in this series in terms of the transition defense from Milwaukee? That's going to be something that I'll be keeping an eye on. Can Dame be Dame again? Can he be that hyper efficient guard that we know and love, or does he have one of those 4 for 20 shooting nights or whatever? That could be a major factor in this too. Again, I'll have the Pacers winning it, but man, this is one of those ones that's truly up in the air, and the vote is very much on the side of the Pacers right now. It's a 72% vote in favor of the Pacers, but it is I think it's going to be a really close one that could go either way, and it may be what you're saying. It may come down to whoever wins game 1 wins the series.
If Damian Lillard doesn't outplay Tyrese Halliburton, it's over. It'll be Pacers in 6 at most. Damian Lillard has to be the best player on the floor in this series if Giannis isn't out there. If Giannis is out there,
no certainty.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, I mean, you may get there, and the other fake Trevor points out Siakam has championship experience. I get it, but he's like the only guy who's kind of been through this on that Pacers team. The
Mhm.
rest of these guys, this is all brand new for them. They're going to be really kind of figuring it out a little bit on the fly for sure.
All right, let's jump back over to the Western Conference. The Wolves and the Suns, not the team the Wolves were hoping to see, given that they've struggled with the Suns. They've had a great season. Minnesota has. They've done they've had a fantastic season. It's been one of their best seasons in years, decades. I mean, they've been wonderful this year. And now you run up against a Phoenix Suns team in the postseason that has Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. They seem to be peaking at the right time. They can still be maddeningly inconsistent, but their upside is so high. What do you see here, Keith? How does this play out?
I'm going to go to, I think, the stat that could be what decides this series. This is from Krishna Narsu, who's a great follow if you like stat-related stuff in the NBA. He's one of the co-creators of the LeBron stat, which is the luck-adjusted box plus minus type stuff in there. There's a whole explainer on what the stat is there, but he's one of the creators of that stat. He came with this one, and this one's not super complicated, but it is the Wolves allow, by design, the second most mid-range shots in the entire NBA this season.
Yes, sir.
The Phoenix Suns, by design and personnel, take the second most mid-range shots in the NBA this season. Everything Minnesota's defense is designed to do works against them here in this series. Everything the Suns want, they should be able to get as far as the way they play. Yes, the Wolves have had a week to game plan and scheme and figure out some stuff. It is very, very hard to change who you are. A tiger can't change its stripes. It's hard to change who you are at this point in the season from a full schematic piece. So I think that becomes the challenge. There's other smaller stuff. Who does Karl Anthony Towns defend? Where do you go to with that in the lineups with Gobert? Can you play? They mostly play with two bigs because Naj Reid comes in. They play that three big rotation. Can you stick with that against the Suns? You're going to have to downsize. Who do you downsize with? Kyle Anderson becomes really important. I think for Minnesota offensively, it's extremely important that they keep a player who is either a shooter or someone who can do something off the dribble and create something one pass away from Anthony Edwards at all times. Because if Anthony Edwards, Phoenix aggressively double teamed him to get the ball out of his hands throughout the course of the regular season matchup.
The Frank Vogel special.
Yep. If you get Edwards throwing the ball to McDaniels or to Gobert or to guys who just aren't guys who can do something with it in a great way, that's going to be a problem. You have to make sure you're giving him an outlet to work from. We covered it. I'm not going to pull it back up. He's like 14 points per game on horrible shooting percentages. If Anthony Edwards can't be the best Wolves player in this series, they're going to have a really, really hard time winning this matchup against the Suns. And that seems weird because it's a 3-6 matchup, but that's just kind of where we're at.
That's how close the West is. That's styles make fights, and that's what we're going to see. I mean, the matchups are going to matter more than usual this year because things are so close. I'm in agreement with you. I've actually got the Suns winning this. I think I look at it. Part of it is this way. It is like this. I think that Anthony Edwards has to be not the best player on the Wolves. He has to be the best player in the series for the Wolves to win it. And when I look at it, there's three guys that I think can be the best player in this series. It's Kevin Durant, it's Devin Booker, and it's Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards may very well be the guy. But I think any one of those guys, I would give equal odds to being the best player in the series. So I'm going to take the 66% chance that it's one of the Suns players that winds up being the best player in the series over it being Anthony Edwards. I also think part of it is Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, they've been through it a bit before. They've got that experience. This is Anthony Edwards' like breakout, I'm that guy season. Sometimes you need to take your lumps in the playoffs a few times before it translates to postseason play. It's not impossible for the Wolves to win. Definitely not. I can see a path for it. They've got the defensive guys that they can put on Durant. McDaniels is fantastic. Obviously, you've got your size in the middle. There's certainly the potential here for the Wolves to win this, but I think when they really need a bucket, it's going to be the Suns that are able to get it done, and they're going to score, and I think they're going to win the series. I think they're going to take it. And also, if Grayson Allen continues to shoot the way that he has, I think that he's going to be not necessarily an X factor, but the Wolves defense is going to sell out on eventually if they do come off of that, allowing that mid-range jumper, and they switch things up and they start attacking Booker on those mid-ranges and they start attacking Kevin Durant, they're going to give up the open looks to Grayson Allen. And if the season has showed us anything, it's that he is going to knock those down.
Yeah, I think Frank Vogel showed his hand a little bit too, not in a strategic way, but just he cut his rotation down over the last week or so, but 2 weeks of the regular season. He's got his 8 guys that he knows he's going to play, and that's going to be it. And he's just going to trust those guys and move forward with just them. I think my pick is Suns in 6. I'm a little nervous because I feel like everyone is picking Suns in 6. And when like we're all on the same page, and it's not like the 1-8 series where I think we all know how it'll go. That makes me a little bit nervous, especially when it's an upset, because this is still an upset. It's a 3-6 series. That does make me a little bit nervous. So that part I do worry about a little bit, but I'm gonna pick it anyway. Karl-Anthony Towns has to be great in this series.
Yes. And that's part of I don't think he's fully back.
Agreed. Yep. As hard as it may be for him to find a place to guard, he needs to make it as equally as hard for the Suns to guard him. And there is a world where Karl-Anthony Towns says, you know what, I'm bigger and better than anybody you can put on me. I'm going to go to work and do that. The question is he able to? Is he going to be there? What's that going to look like? So again, here's the broken record. I'm super excited for this series just because there's such different teams. I want to address one comment in the chat from Cyrax. Gobert will be played off the floor per usual. That's actually happened once. One time against the Warriors at kind of still the peak of being the Warriors, got him off the floor. He wasn't super effective in other matchups, but he doesn't get played off the floor. That's been one of the most overplayed, not true narratives about a player in a team. That didn't happen the way people think it did. He was on the floor the entirety of the first round last year against the Nuggets. And they pushed the Nuggets to an extent. Made them have to work for it at least, even though the series wasn't super close. And he was out there in other series as well. This is something people go to, but it really didn't happen the way people think. People think in that Clippers series that he got played off the floor. No, they just put him on Terrence Mann, which was the right choice, and Terrence Mann went crazy and had the series of a lifetime. But it wasn't that Utah said we can't play him anymore. That didn't happen like that.
Keith, I'll say I hope he doesn't get played off the floor, because Gobert versus Nurkic is the kind of old school, traditional, big behemoths, the Clash of the Titans type situation that I love to see. They're just going to be, that's going to be an absolute war between those two guys. It's going to be a battle in the paint every single night. So I'm excited for that. Some people were asking, what about Bradley Beal? Couldn't he be the best player in the series? Sure, but I put him in a different tier, in a lower tier than Booker and Durant and Anthony Edwards. I don't think that's necessarily a hot take. I think Bradley Beal is definitely great. He just had a really big performance for the Suns. I just don't quite put him on the same level as the other three that we're talking about in this series.
Bradley Beal might have a game where he's the best player in the game, best player in the series. Now that's going to be KD. That's going to be Booker, or it's going to be Anthony Edwards with an outside chance of it being Karl-Anthony Towns.
Brian says the Pistons in 7. Just kidding. And I know, sorry, Bryce. Bryce Simon is in the chat right now. Apologies to Bryce for the Pistons comment. But Phoenix makes
Bryce covers the Pistons. He's not necessarily a massive Pistons fan, but
true, but still. Good Phoenix makes a run, and I'm a Lakers fan. Yeah, I could see Phoenix making a real run here.
All right, so what's our official picks? I went Suns in 6. What's yours?
I'm going to say Suns in 7. Because it would just be the most Wolves thing ever to, on their home court, get their hearts cut out. And I don't want that for that franchise, but I could just see it happening. Mr. Easley said, off subject, why do players run off the floor after hitting a game winner? That's because the thought process is, which is, it's not the case, but the thought process is, if we hit the shot and get off the floor before they even review it, the refs are going to say, well, it's too much of a hassle to get everybody back. Let's just leave it as is. And that's the end of the game. That is, I've never seen it actually play out that way, but that's what you hear. And I remember hearing that years ago. Derek Fisher hit his .4 shot, and the commentary was I want to say it was Mike Breen. I don't remember for sure who it was.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was Doc Rivers was the color commentator on that one, but it was Derek Fisher's going to run off the floor, and they're going to try to get to the airport and get on the plane before the officials can review it. That's the thought process behind that. Why they do that? It's it's because they believe the referees won't go through the hassle of bringing everybody back out onto the floor.
I think there's also it's fun to hit a shot and just keep running. Like, especially if it's like any kind of running shot, like then it's like you run and you make your teammates chase you and, do all that stuff. And not every player does it. Some of them like to stand there and then they do the mean mug thing. I like it most when a guy's just super excited, because that's what anybody who loves this game at some point, whether it's in the driveway, at the park, in the gym, has done the whole 3, 2, 1 shot is in the air. And then if it misses, you get fouled and there's a replay and you get to take it again. So it's but yeah, no, I love, I like when guys are excited, like a little kid again, and get super fired up versus the whole I knew all the time. Like, look at me, I'm him, all that stuff. Like that's fine too. Celebrate in the end, celebrate however you want. When you hit a game winner, it's you earned it. Like go nuts, go crazy. Second part of his question: if Denver's eliminated, who is the favorite? I mean, in the league, it would be Boston if they're not already. In the Western Conference, that's tougher.
Right.
Part of me thinks we haven't talked the series yet, but part of me thinks it's Mavs Clippers winner. If Kawhi is there and can be Kawhi, that's probably who it is. I think that's who people would maybe trust the most. But yeah, it's probably one of the two of them.
Yeah, I specifically on purpose made that series last in our rundown here. Yeah, because I think it is perhaps going to be the closest and maybe one of the most exciting series. But yeah, I could see that. I could see it being Mavs or Clippers, and that's perhaps the beauty of the Western Conference this year. You could make an argument for just about any of these teams for becoming the favorite after that. Okay, let's jump over, because I know we're running up on an hour here. Let's jump over to Cavs and Magic. By the way, the poll finished 54% in favor of the Suns, so the closest one we've had so far in favor of the Suns beating the Wolves. The Cavs and the Magic. Keith, your hometown Orlando Magic, are they going to be able to get it done against a Cleveland team that maybe has a little bit more experience? But I think this is going to be a pretty close series.
I think it's what you just said. Cleveland has now lived through it once. This Magic team has very little playoff experience. Very few of their guys have played in the playoffs, and very few of their key players have played in the playoffs. This is the absolute throwback series to it's going to be ugly. There's probably not going to be a lot of scoring in these games. The key for the Magic will be they got to turn the Cavs over, and they got to find easy offense for themselves in transition. Other than that, it's going to be super tough for them to score in the half court. These teams' strengths defensively counter the other side's strengths offensively very well. Magic run everything through Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. The Cavs have big defenders and have some solid wing defenders. That's going to make it a little bit hard on Orlando to find offense. On the other side, the Cavs are very driven by Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and the Magic have outstanding guard defenders in Jalen Suggs and Gary Harris. So that's going to make it really hard on both of these teams. Both teams have some bench guys who can go off, and Karis LeVert and Cole Anthony can step up and come through. I think in the end, Cavs have been there, done that. The Magic are like last year's Cavs that are stepping into this spot for the first time. I think they're going to show well, but I think it's going to be Cavs in 7. I think this will be a 7-game series, and everybody who screamed and yelled 2 months ago of I want to go back to what it looked like in the 90s and early 2000s, this is the series for you. you're just gonna have to find it on NBA TV.
Yeah, this is the NBA TV series. I'm in agreement. I will say that it's. I'm gonna actually go Cavs in 6 though. I'm gonna say they get it done in 6 games, even though it's on Orlando's home floor at that point. But I do think that ultimately the Cavs are going to get it done. Experience carries the day in the postseason. It doesn't always work out that way, but historically it tends to matter. So that's what I'm going to lean on here. The guys like Donovan Mitchell that can up their game in the postseason, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, I'm a big fan of. I think he's going to be a challenge to handle in the post. And then I don't know what Evan Mobley's eventually going to be. It feels like this season has not been the big leap forward yet that we were hoping it would be, but I think he can still be a difference maker out there for Cleveland. So I'm going to say that the Cavs get it done, but this Magic team is certainly talented. They're on the upswing. It wouldn't shock me if they were to come out of this series, but I would say if these two teams played in a series 10 times, the Cavs would win 7 times. And so I'm going to say that the Cavs get it done.
All right, there it is. So I went Cavs in 7. Trevor went Cavs in 6. I will answer this question from fake Trevor Mike Wolf. The Celtics. I live in Orlando. I like when the Magic do well because I like seeing people here be happy, and I like that. But I would be 100% rooting for the Celtics. It wouldn't even be close. There's no question in my mind. I've been in that actual spot before, and the Magic ended up beating them that year. That was the year the Magic showed up to the finals and to play the Lakers, and the Celtics didn't. So that was it's Celtics against anybody for me.
Diego said, I'm personally rooting for, and thank you for being a Lakers Nation channel member. I'm rooting for the Magic so that Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to re-sign with the Cavs. I don't know. Would a deep playoff run change Donovan Mitchell's opinion on, and maybe it wouldn't change. Who knows? Maybe he's already planning on re-signing. We don't know exactly what he's going to do, but I guess really the question is, does Donovan Mitchell's opinion on whether or not he wants to stay in Cleveland depend upon what they do here in the postseason?
To an extent, I think if they win this series and they were to upset Boston in the second round and get to the East Finals or maybe to the NBA Finals, I think that probably has him thinking like, all right, hey, we're here and why not? I just don't know that happens. So then I think you end up in a spot where, yeah, that's probably not going to be how it plays out. I also don't know that this turns around and it is Donovan Mitchell's like, I'm out of here. Forget this. Like, I'm done here in Cleveland. If they lose in this first round series or lose a non-competitive series to the Celtics, it's more likely, sure. But yeah, we'll see, where that goes. That's going to be, feels like there are 7 or 8 of those type of storylines that could come out of this playoffs. If a team loses, we're going to all be on, player X watch for what may happen. So yeah, I don't know how much it drastically changes things. As a Lakers fan, I don't know why you're super excited about it. I don't think they're getting him. I don't think that's going to be a thing, but that's
they will try. They will do everything they can to get him, but I think they would ultimately get outbid.
Yeah. And I think especially too, if he really makes it clear, I want to be in New York, I think that you're going to have to deal with the Nets trying to find a way to get him or whatever. But that can be all discussed and probably will be discussed ad nauseum here over the next couple of months.
So the Cavs won the poll, 61% of the vote going for them. All right, let's get to what may end up being the craziest series. Clippers Mavs. And so much of it seems to depend upon Kawhi Leonard's knee. The Clippers have expressed optimism that he's going to be able to go this weekend. I forget who it was. Somebody said, I want to say it was yesterday, said that it's not gamesmanship, that it's just really they don't know what's going on with his
Frank.
Yes,
they really don't know. Yeah,
they really, they're just managing it and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if I even buy it because we've seen this from the Clippers before. They've done this with Kawhi, but it may really come down to does Kawhi play? If he plays, is he on a minutes limitation? What version of himself could he be? That may determine the series. But I also will say, even if he plays, even if he's full strength, I still think the Mavs could win this series because Luka and Kyrie are just that good. So that's what makes this series so interesting and such a toss-up. It's that either side can win. I could say if Kawhi doesn't play, I would lean in the Mavs' favor fairly strongly. But given that I think Kawhi is going to play at least a little bit, I keep going back and forth on this game. I might as well flip a coin at this point.
I've said it since we kind of knew what this series was, for sure that this was locked in. If you could tell me Kawhi can play and be Kawhi, it's a coin flip. If he can't be Kawhi or he doesn't play at all, I'm picking the Mavs in 5. I just don't think they'll have anything near what they need to keep up with Dallas. Luka's going to do what he does, but they have at least guys they can put on Luka to make him work. I have no idea how they're going to defend Kyrie Irving. They don't have a good matchup for him at all. It's probably going to have to be Terrence Mann if Kawhi's out there, and you just hope for the best. Certainly not James Harden. They don't have a player off the bench that they can put on Kyrie. I think Kyrie may end up going crazy in this series, and it's one where Luka kind of says, all right, you got us this time. And I'll play playmaker. I'll focus on rebounding. I'll do all those things, and let's go. You lead the way offensively. So I hope Kawhi is ready to go because then we've got this will be the best series in the first round if Kawhi is ready to go. But if he's not, I don't know. We'll see.
Keith, do you want to know how many Lakers fans we have watching the show right now?
Too many. That's how many.
The Mavs have 84% of the vote.
Yeah, shocking. Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? And
sure,
and kind of there to an extent, right? Because it's I get it, right? I kind of get it where people are coming from. I just
think it's going to be closer than that poll would suggest.
I keep seeing people saying Kawhi's out for game 1. Is that true?
Last I saw is he's questionable.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. Unless that happened since we've been recording. I have not been on Twitter quite as much. So yeah.
I mean, I can see why people would say, I see the comment, Kawhi hasn't played in like 3 weeks. Why are we confident that he's going to be, himself? That's certainly fair.
Sure.
We'll say though that he doesn't play.
He has generally, when he comes back, he's usually pretty good right away. Like he's not a guy who takes games and games and games to get there. Now people are saying they're optimistic. All right, nobody knows. Don't put definitive stuff in the chat and make me look dumb. Come on now, guys, help me out here. Kawhi already signed. Somebody's asking if he got signed to.
It's Paul George that hasn't signed a new deal yet.
Yeah, it's Paul George. Yeah, and that seems to be more in question than if. Here's a good question. Yeah, it's in podcast form. Same name.
NBA front office show.
Yeah, yep. Find it anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Check it out. Now, Skip Bayless reported it'll be out. All right, he's probably playing then. That's not whatever. All right, let's make our official picks here. I'm gonna go. I think Kawhi plays and can beat Kawhi, so I'm gonna go Clippers in 7. Okay. I'm gonna and everybody watching, listening, everything. Hold me accountable next year if I start believing in the Clippers again if they lose in the first round to the Mavericks this year. Like, hold me 100% accountable, barring they make some ridiculous trade we don't see coming. But don't let me buy into it again. Tell me I'm an idiot over and over, because this will be fool me 100 times. Shame on me. I'm dumb. I'm going to go Clippers in 7 because I think Kawhi plays. If Kawhi doesn't play and can't beat Kawhi, like you said, Mavs in 5, but we're not doing split the difference picks here, so I'll go Clippers in 7.
I'm going to go Mavs in 6. I'll go Mavs in 6. I think they're able to get it done. I believe in Luka and what he's done this season. He's been incredible. And then the Kyrie factor, like you said, the Clippers don't really have anybody to defend him. It'll be interesting watching Daniel Gafford against Ivica Zubac, who's been fantastic for the Clippers, can be a big difference maker there in the middle. That's definitely going to be something to watch. Norman Powell hits annoying shots at times, and he's that kind of guy. And then you never know with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook may be great. He may also cost you a game. Like you never know what you're going to get from him in terms of his efficiency, his decision making, all that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't put it past the Clippers. If they get some things to go their way, they certainly can win this series. But I'm going to go Mavs in 6. I think I just have a little bit more faith in what the Mavs bring to the table right now, particularly with Luka, and just that I think Kawhi will be at least a little bit banged up, and I think that'll matter in this series. So I'm gonna say Mavs in 6.
What two was this? Clint Westwood says Keith don't learn. He's not wrong when it comes to the Clippers. I haven't learned that lesson. All right, last order of business.
Yep.
We got to do we will pick other series as they come known. We will come back and repick them. We're not going to pick the whole playoffs, but we are going to go into picking our finals picks here.
Okay.
Mine's easy. I'm sticking with what I picked preseason. I picked Celtics over Nuggets. I'm going to pick that still today. Nothing I've seen 6 months later has moved me off of that. I'm going to stay with Celtics over Nuggets. I think this is the year for Boston to get it done. It's kind of the if not now, when. And I think those are the two best teams in the league, and I think they're going to get through. Preseason, I believe you picked Lakers over Bucks, I think was your pick preseason.
That was probably my homer pick, yes.
So what is your playoff pick now? And again, you did. I'm going to give you full carte blanche. If you want to make a homer pick, go ahead. Full disclosure for anybody new to the show, every year, as long as they're tied in titles, we want Celtics versus Lakers.
Yes.
To break the tie. Yep. That's what we want. It just, I'm not there, so we'll go. So
that would be epic if we got that. We got that,
especially this year, because it'd be very unexpected.
It would be so crazy. So crazy if we got that. I picked the Lakers to get past Denver. That's definitely my homer pick there. I don't know that the Lakers get all the way through, even if they get past Denver. Like, you could make the argument that if the Lakers were to beat Denver, they would suddenly become the favorite to come out of the West, but you could make the argument for a bunch of teams to come out of the West.
Yeah.
If Denver's out, I think if you were telling me like I have to put money on it, I would still say Denver. It would ultimately win the whole thing. I think the Celtics are going to be there in the finals, because if they don't, it's like a huge the East. There isn't anybody to stand in the way in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah.
If I think Denver gets it done, otherwise, I'm going to say it's the Mavs. I'm going to say the Mavs. There's kind of my dark horse team, but I think they could actually make a real run here. And we could end up seeing something crazy with the Mavs and them really getting hot and going on a deep playoff run. So I'll pick the Mavs to make it all the way. I'll say the Lakers, even if they get past Denver, I'm going to say they get tripped up maybe in the next round or in the Western Conference Finals. I'm going to say the Mavs make it the whole way. And obviously I'm trying to avoid the dark timeline, so I'm not going to say the Celtics win it, because that would be a disaster for the NBA, for the country, and for all mankind.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sure. All right. So your official finals pick is Mavericks over Celtics.
Yes, that's what I'll go with.
All right. There it is.
Not a like if maybe I should put some money on that or something, because not a likely final scenario, but I'm gonna say they make a run.
Yeah, that would be something, man. That would be absolutely something. There's a word I said it a couple weeks ago that I was like this close to picking the Mavs in any series that doesn't involve the Nuggets. And like a moron, I picked the Clippers in 7 because I can't quit that stupid team for whatever reason. I would not be surprised if the Mavs did make a real run. Like I think it's going to be. I think this is going to be an awesome playoffs. I am super excited to watch this weekend, to break it all down and get into it as the series go along. For anybody new here, we will be doing that. We will have a ton of free agency stuff coming. We'll have draft coverage coming. Bryce Simon has been cranking out great scouting reports on draft prospects. I think he's either at 20 or near 20, and he's got a whole bunch more to come. So check those out over on the Basketball Bulletin. He has been doing the Lord's work on putting those scouts out there. With any player you really want to know about, he's going to have that up. Trevor just linked to it in the chat, so check that out. It's a great way to support us, and just so everybody knows, we're taking care of Bryce. Bryce is not, we're not like, hey, do this for free. We're trying to make sure all his efforts are rewarded. He's an awesome guy, does really great work there. And let's face it, he has to cover the Pistons all year. So let's give him something else to feel good about the rest of this year. But and we'll have off-season stuff coming, free agent previews, all that stuff. This is the best time for us, best time for you to get involved and join. Cooper Flagg is not in this draft. He's not eligible next year. Tony asks in the chat.
Nope.
Next year, it's going to be all Cooper all the time for draft stuff for the next year for sure. So this is great, man. We had 4,000 people hanging out here with us on a Friday afternoon leading into the playoffs. Thank you guys so much for popping in, hanging out, spending part of your Friday with us. We can't say thank you enough for that. Can't ask for another favor though. Hit subscribe, hit like, share the show, get it out to as many people. For those podcast listeners, let's get a few more podcast reviews up. That really helps us climb the algorithm there in the different podcast providers, help people kind of find us and get us out there. But we are beyond thankful for everything everybody does and super excited for what's to come, the playoffs and off season wise. Like that smash button. Okay, sure. I'm in on that.
Why not?
I think smash that like button, but you like the smash button too, I guess. It's a whole different website, I think, when you're liking the smash button, but that's for another day. That's for front office show after dark.
On that note, thank you everybody for joining us here for Front Office Friday. Oh boy, extended edition. We appreciate all of you and have a great weekend watching NBA basketball. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.